In this world so filled with extreme opinion, it takes something to be universally liked. And that is something New Zealand cricket has achieved for a while. But what they've also achieved over the past decade or so is being one of the more consistent forces in the game. So what is it that makes New Zealand the envy of world cricket? Let's try finding out from someone who's been so integral to New Zealand's journey over the past decade and a half. Gives us great pleasure to have Tim Southee's company on ESPN Cricinfo. Tim, thank you so much for your time. Let's start with the obvious question. How does it feel to have the tag of everyone's favourite second team?
Yeah, I guess it's a nice thing to have on the everyone's favourite second team. But yeah, it's a nice tag to have, and I guess reflect on us as a cricket, not only a cricket side, but also as a country and the people of New Zealand.
Yeah, I do want to get into more serious questions around how you've seen New Zealand evolve from the time you started playing in 2008 till you left the stage. But I do also want to ask, since that nice guys tag is something that follows you all this while, is it something that's received very well across New Zealand dressing rooms, or has it got a bit overdone?
Yeah, I guess it's not. We're not so much trying to be nice guys. I guess it's just the way that we wanted to play was sort of reflect us as New Zealanders and us as a country. So hopefully people feel that when they come and visit New Zealand, that the New Zealand people are good people, friendly people, and I guess give people the time of the day. And I guess that's just a style of cricket that we've played as well. We want to enjoy our cricket. It was a move we sort of made under McCullum a number of years ago, and it seems to have sat well with us. And I think in turn we've seen the results and in a more consistent team, because I guess the traits that we're trying to play out are natural and authentic to us as people as well as cricketers.
Tim, through the 16, 17 years that you were part of the New Zealand senior men's side, you played under so many leaders. You came into the side when they were transitioning after Stephen Fleming, who'd been such a long-serving captain, had left. You played under Dan Vettori, then Ross Taylor for a few years, Brendan McCullum, Kane, Williamson, and you yourself led towards the end. So how do you chart the evolution of how New Zealand were under different leaders through these years?
Yeah, I think you probably, as a player, you come in, and I came in as a 19-year-old and probably didn't think too much about leadership and how sides were run. But I think as time goes on, you grow, and found myself growing to a leadership position myself. And I guess the way you look at the game and the way you look at an environment is slightly different. But I was very fortunate from a young age to have Dan Vettori as the captain. He made that transition for me into the Black Caps an easier one. He was very good, a great leader himself, great people person, and so I think having great leaders like him early on, and obviously Brendan McCullum and what he did with the side through that period. I guess the success we had, the great leader he was, and then it obviously flowed on to Kane as well, and then of late Tom Latham and a little bit of Mitch Sattler as well. So yeah, very fortunate to have a number of great leaders throughout, and for such a small country to have a number of great leaders amongst the cricket side was awesome to see, and it's great to see now as well. Mitch Sattler taking to the captaincy so well and doing such a great job.
Yeah, so many facets of everything that stands out when the world from the outside looks at New Zealand cricket just within that answer. So let's start picking on some of them. You mentioned how it's a smaller country, and that often gets talked about, especially when Indians sit and compare that, the population in India might be, tens and hundreds of times more than New Zealand's, but New Zealand keep creating this pool of talent. What do you attribute that to?
I guess we've got a small population, obviously only 5 million people in the country, such a small cricketing player pool. But I think the players we do have, we tend to look after. Guys tend to, I guess, get a bit more consistency around selection because of the smaller amount of players. So I think that helps. Helps with I guess a little bit of success we've had. We've been able to be consistent with the players that have been playing. I think we've also been very fortunate to have a number of great cricketers come through at a similar time and play a lot of cricket together. I look at the side that I was a part of for a while, especially around the Test side. You had 7 or 8 guys that played close to 10 years together. And I think that's only a a good thing for a side is to be able to have that consistency and I guess personnel. But yeah, I think just another point is the a way to just be able to scrap away as a small country. We know we're a small country. We know we don't have I guess the resources and the players that other countries have, but we still find a way to be able to compete.
Would you say the messaging has remained similar when it comes to how the dressing room welcomes newer and younger players? So if you were to compare when you were new breaking in Daniel Vettori's team to say when you saw the likes of Rachin Ravindra breaking in the last few years?
Yeah, I think as a side, it's always been a great side to come into. I've seen a lot of people come in over the time that I was playing, and everyone felt. I think there's a big strength of the side and the environment was that guys came in and they felt welcome straight away, so they're able to, I guess, be slightly more relaxed and be able to perform knowing that they feel a part of the side. So that's something that's probably stayed consistent throughout. There's probably been less people coming in and out of the side over the last few years, with a bit more consistency around guys playing. So yeah, it's a great team to come into, and I think well, majority of the guys that come in would feel pretty welcome and enjoy that experience of joining the team, which can be quite daunting at times, especially for younger guys coming in and coming into a setup where they've probably watched a lot of guys and idolised a lot of guys. But I think that they try and make that transition pretty smooth and pretty enjoyable for people, and a place that you want to be, and a place that you want to yeah, I guess stay.
So then, what to you would be the non-negotiables in New Zealand cricket, the non-negotiables for any new player coming into the side?
I guess just a lot of respect, respect for the people that have gone before you, the guys that are in the team at the moment, and I guess when you I guess a commitment to giving it all for the team. A lot of talk about what's best for the team, and I guess that takes a lot of, I guess, concentration around, because cricket can be quite an individual game, and I think if you buy into what the team's doing and what the team needs, then I guess that takes a little bit of pressure off your own performance, and I guess it gives a chance of playing as a team and having a little bit more success.
Yeah, and when we talk success and you look at the last decade, New Zealand have been the definition of consistency and success when it comes to the big stage in men's internationals, because we run up some numbers and you look at New Zealand in all ICC men's events before 2015 and they'd made 10 out of 22 semi-finals, and ever since they've been in the semis 7 times in the last 9 competitions, including the Champions Trophy. That of course has also featured the 3 finals they've made, and then add the WTC title to it. What to you stands out the most from this decade of just relentless consistency?
Yeah, I think there's been a group of players, like I said earlier, a number of great cricketers coming through, and I guess the confidence that guys have got about having success at tournaments. A lot of guys have experienced that, and then for the younger guys that probably come into the team, they've grown up sort of watching, I guess, the success of the side over the last 10 or so years as well. So they can see that what the Black Caps are capable of, and that's reaching finals and winning competitions. So yeah, I guess that has a little bit to do with it. But I guess just turn up to a world event, trying to represent your country and do your country proud. But yeah, I guess the confidence that we've had from previous tournaments, mixed in with obviously some good cricketers that have great skills. So yeah, just those are probably some of the reasons.
What this run of performances over the last decade has also done, Tim, is led to a slow but sure shift in the narrative outside, where, yes, even before 2015, New Zealand used to go into a lot of competitions as the dark horse team. But now, if you look at the last few years, New Zealand enter competitions as among the topmost contenders. How much of a difference does that make on the inside?
Yeah, I don't think it's the inside's taken too much notice. We never took too much notice of the side turning up, but even still, you still hear of New Zealand still sliding under the radar to an extent in tournaments, but it's never phased the group. It's never phased the team. So it doesn't really affect the guys, which I think is a positive as well. There's no real expectation, I guess, from the group. You just want to go there, give it a shot like all the other teams, and prepare well, and hopefully give yourself a chance of being there at the end, which we've done in the last 7 of 9 ICC events.
So as much as it feels like, it's always been smooth sailing for New Zealand, it's a side that's always performing well, that's always as much of a team as a team can be. There was also somewhat troubling times a little before that, because you go back to around 2012, 2013, when the captaincy moved from Ross Taylor to Brendan McCullum. There were lots of murmurs of maybe slightly troubled relationships within the dressing room, given the way things had played out. How do you assess that phase, and who does the credit go to for the transition after that, which led to such a smooth process later?
Yeah, I think up until that phase where Brendan took over, we probably weren't a consistent side. We'd done some brilliant things, but we probably weren't as consistent as we were probably during Brendan McCullum's era as captain and post that. So it was probably a change that happened at a time where we were probably struggling for that consistency, and I think we see Brendan even now. He's a great leader of men, and he was perfect for the side at that time. We had a number of younger guys and some very talented guys on the side at that time, and I guess the direction that he came in and took the side, probably the reason why and how we've had the success over the last 10, 12 years. But yeah, it was a change that probably wasn't the smoothest of changes, but yeah, then it was a change that I think worked out in the long run for everyone involved. Like you look now, we're still seeing the effects of the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah, I do want to go back and revisit some of these big tournaments in these last 10 years. Where better to begin than 2015, a World Cup where you got to play at home, where just the sense of excitement and theatre around the New Zealand games was so high. That Australia group stage game still stands out. The South Africa semi-final still stands out. What are the lasting memories of that campaign and the kind of messaging that had been instilled by Brendan McCullum going into that home World Cup?
Yeah, I guess you look at a home World Cup and there's a lot of extra pressure on hosting the World Cup. We hadn't hosted one since 92, and a lot of people had the 92 World Cup had inspired a lot of people, inspired a lot of young cricketers. So it was, I guess, a chance for us to do something similar, and we wanted to enjoy it. Brendan's big thing was enjoying it, and we certainly did. We had a lot of fun throughout that tournament. The country really got on behind us, and I think it did inspire a lot of young cricketers and a lot of young sports kids through New Zealand. It also, I guess, showed New Zealand how big the game of cricket is worldwide, and I think the way that we played our cricket throughout that tournament was exceptional. We went through undefeated through to the final, and I guess the way that we won and the way that we played throughout the pool play and the quarterfinal and semi-final, I guess was a style that the country enjoyed and they were proud to watch.
That then continued even under Kane Williamson's captaincy, and then there was the 2019 World Cup, where again there was such a consistent run, removed India in the way in the semis, and then came the final. I mean, it's a game for which most of the cricket world's heart still aches, for a side having lost a World Cup final despite not losing a World Cup final. Talk us through the emotions. What was the messaging in the camp, and how did the team attempt to get over?
Yeah, I think the heart still aches a little bit. Yeah, it was a strange day. I think if you remove yourself from the actual match and you look at it from a cricket point of view, and you couldn't have asked for a better game of cricket, especially in a final. The ebbs and flows throughout. The team's not been separated after 100 overs, and then obviously not been separated in a super over as well. It was just shows you how tight it was, and the spectators, you could see the great crowd, people watching around the world. I think we'll talk about that game for such a long time to come. I don't think we'll ever see it. You remove yourself and you think of it from that. It was a special to be a part of, but I think to be one of those ones as a player you always look back on, and having come oh so close to I guess winning the World Cup. It's it still hurts a little bit.
The good thing was 2 summers later, in the same part of the world, would come the high and the elation of being world champions in a new format, with the World Test Championship final coming in. Again, you ran into India in a final. what was that emotion like, especially considering that that would have been such a completion of a story for that group of players? You think of yourself and Trent Bolt and Kane Williamson, who'd been playing together for so long, reaching the business end of competitions. Now you finally had that world champion title to your name.
Yeah, it was a great day. It was a great week. So I think, yeah, just a special time for the playing group, special time for the country, and I guess special time for really special time for the cricket fans in New Zealand. It was, yeah, I guess the cricket we had played in the 2 years in the lead up to that, to get ourselves in the final was brilliant, and then to beat a side like India in the final was pretty special. So yeah, to win the World Test Championship, it certainly was nice after coming out so close in the 2019 One Day World Cup. But I think just through that time, through that couple of year period there, we had final in the One Day World Cup, won the World Test Championship, and also the final of the T20 World Cup. And I think it was just a great time for the New Zealand cricket team, and yeah, it was an awesome time to be a part of it. Would have been great to have won more of those finals, but very grateful for being able to win the World Test Championship.
Yeah, I tried to chart this course of the highs and lows with you, because that is another facet of New Zealand cricket which stands out so much, especially when we view it from the subcontinent, where emotions tend to be rather extreme. That New Zealand tend to be a side who seem to have their emotions in check. Win or lose, you don't see a lot of extremes from New Zealand. How much of that is instilled in the grassroots? How much of that becomes a function of what you learn through the dressing rooms?
Yeah, I think as people, we're probably not everyone, but we're quite reserved people. We want to win just as much as everyone wants to win, but we also understand that you can have great days and you can have not so great days. So I think if you can actually operate in that middle area consistently, then I guess you don't ride the highs and the lows as much as if you I guess get carried away with wins and you beat yourself up with losses. So yeah, you're going to win games of cricket, you're going to lose games of cricket, but if you can stay in a pretty good mindset and a pretty good headspace in terms of your emotions, then I think what's worked well for us in terms of being slightly more consistent in our performances.
One of the other things, Tim, that we do want to touch upon is if you consider not just the recent generation, but some of the best leaders in cricket, captains and coaches, have come out of New Zealand. You have to think of the great Martin Crowe. There was Stephen Fleming. John Wright is such a legendary person, especially in India, for what he achieved with the Indian team in the early 2000s. And then all the captains we've discussed who you've played with. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I guess the great thinkers of the game, great readers of the game. I don't know whether that's something to do with having slightly less resources. You've got to think about the game slightly differently or slightly more in depth. But I think those guys you've mentioned, they're obviously great cricketers, but they're great leaders of people, great leaders of teams. So I think that's yeah. I don't know why that is, but we've been very fortunate for such a small country to produce great captains that have gone on and been great coaches as well. I think you look at the success, like you said, John Wright with the Indian team, Stephen Fleming's success that he's had in the IPL. Obviously, Danny Vittori's coached a lot, and Brendan McCullum as well with what he's doing in England. So yeah, I think just good man managers, good leaders of people, and yeah, they've been great cricketers, and it's great to see them carry that on with their coaching life as well.
All right, just the last couple of questions, Tim, before you wind this up. What is New Zealand cricket's policy on sledging?
I think nowadays with the amount of cricket around the world that you play alongside so many different people from different countries, yeah, I don't know if sledging's as common as it used to be. There's certainly still words said on the field. There's yeah, but there's no written policy on sledging.
And just finally, Tim, since we've been talking leaders, this Champions Trophy gave a first glimpse of Mitchell Santner leading New Zealand at a big event. How do you expect the next few years to go? Because the present dressing room is one that you've seen. A lot of the youngsters have come up the ranks while you were still around. Who are the next set of leaders we can expect to see in New Zealand cricket?
Yeah, I think Mitch he's really grown into the leadership. He's been a part of the leadership group for a while now, and it's great to see him full-time captain of the white ball sides, and he's done a great job in his short time as the leader. Brings a real calmness to the team, well, he's won the Tri Series. He's won a couple of other series. He's taken to it extremely well. Other leaders, I think, are growing around him. I think that's one thing that the side tends to do is you have a captain, but you have a number of other leaders around that help support that captain. So guys like Rachin and Ravindra will play a massive role, but I think it's also very fortunate to have guys like Tom Latham and Kane Williamson on the side as well, who have been captains of New Zealand to I guess lean on and have a helping hand out there as well. So I think there's a bigger picture where there's leaders being grown around the group as well for, I guess, succession planning, if that's what you want to call it. But Mitch has certainly been a part of the leadership group for a while, so it was no surprise when he took over. But he's done an exceptional job.
Yeah, and you mentioned Rachin Ravindra, and I recently caught hold of one of the interviews Santner's given on the sidelines of the Champions Trophy, where he's been earmarking Rachin Ravindra as a future leader. There's still time to go for that. If he takes to leadership the way he has to the big stage, where he just scores centuries for fun at ICC events, it looks like the future is still quite bright for New Zealand. Thank you so much, Tim. It's been a pleasure getting you to talk us through and chart the evolution of New Zealand cricket over the past decade and a half.